Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Lerwick in the Shetland Isles. Welcome to viewers in Shetland, in Scotland, United Kingdom, Europe, America and right across the world to Shetland Webcam's coverage of the world's premier Viking Fire Festival, Up Helly Aa. You're looking at the moment at the Town Hall in Lerwick, where the Vikings of the Jarl Squad are gathering and where the initial flare will bring to life this festival of fire. What happens at 7:30 is known as the light up, and 1,000 geysers, 1,000 marchers will gather just a few yards from where we're looking now. Their torches, their massive wooden torches soaked in paraffin, will be lit and the procession will begin. The Jarl Squad, the only group of people in this procession who are, in fact, dressed as Vikings, this year for the first time contains women and men on equal footing. Women as warriors, bearing axes and shields, and it is an absolutely epic and historic moment for Up Helly Aa in Shetland. For those watching from overseas for the first time, just to let you know where Shetland actually is, we are a group of islands, an archipelago, about 150 miles northeast of the Scottish mainland, halfway to Scandinavia. And there is obviously a huge Scandinavian connection. I'm Tom Morton. I've lived here for 40 years. And it is a great pleasure and privilege to be able to commentate on this Up Helly Aa, the mighty fire festival of Shetland. It's brought to you by various sponsorships, including Northlink Ferries and Promote Shetland and Shetland Telecom. And we're grateful to them all. You can watch this on various websites throughout the world who are taking our feed, including on the Facebook pages of Northlink Ferries and Promote Shetland, and you can comment there. These comments can be relayed to the rest of the world. If there's somebody you want to contact, if you're, for example, in Australia, Ruth Swanton's in Caithness, Sarah Ashley Gant is in Louisiana, in the USA, and Christina is in Aberdeen. Shetland will always be part of me, she says, as I was born there. So we are going to be looking at the light up very shortly, the beginnings of the light up. It's a process which begins at the town hall in spectacular fashion and then erupts at the Lower Hill Head in Shetland. Our cameras, dozens of them, are stationed throughout the marching route, which is long and quite complex, and ends in the play park you can just glimpse to the left of your screen right now, where the burning of the Galley will take place. And this is a full-size Norse war galley, which has been prepared, crafted, and painted exactingly and carefully over the last 12 months. It is a spectacular sight, and we're pleased and privileged to welcome you to it. The town of Lerwick is the capital of the Shetland Islands, the main town, in fact, really the only town. The next biggest community is the village of Galley, and then there is also the village of Bray, up near what used to be Europe's biggest oil terminal at Sullomvo. And we hope that you'll be able to stay with us as we move through the evening and watch this spectacular march of fire which ends in a huge conflagration as the Galley is burnt. Lerwick has about 11,000 residents normally, but several thousand more people have joined us from all over the world for this massive celebration. And so we see the Jarl squad begin to emerge from the town hall. The chief Vikings, the group of the elite Vikings, led by the Geyser Jarl, chief of all the festival, who is given freedom of Lerwick for the day. We axe for what we want. And they're very careful to axe for civilized things. Appearances can be deceptive, after all. It's 7:10 UK time, and the lights are still on in Lerwick, but the street lights will be switched off for the duration of the procession. The lighting up will be signified, the beginning of the festival in reality will be signified by a massive explosion, which is caused by a maroon or firework, which used to be used for signalling to the lifeboat crew that a ship was in distress and that their help was needed. Now, of course, everybody has electronic pagers. Hello to Peter Johansson, who is in Ottawa, Canada. 6th time of watching the live feed. And Cesar is happy to be able to admire the festival. Greetings from Palmetto. I'm not quite sure where Palmetto is, but I'm sure it's somewhere extremely nice. Oh no, it's Palinuro, a small Italian village overlooking the Tiber. If you're concerned about the warlike appearance of these Vikings, please be reassured they are all extremely pleasant and peaceful gentlemen and ladies. There's a real sense of excitement in the streets tonight. Thousands of people lining the streets of Lerwick, trying to find the best position to take photographs. All of them dressed for the cold. It's a cold night, quite clear, dry, thank goodness. It's not raining, but it is going to be very, very windy later on. You get a real picture there of the way the crowds have gathered. No one is allowed on the actual route apart from the marchers while it's happening, mainly for safety reasons. And the light up not quite begins. What we're seeing here is the marshals who will light the rest of the torches, lighting their torches. This is a preliminary light up. And it's all happening in front of the glorious town hall here in Lerwick, as the members of the Jarl squad, helmeted, armed with axes and shields, watch and wait for the festival proper to begin. Skylar Lowther says, "Hi, Christina Nicholson." Many people saying hello to each other on social media. Jenny Flaws, Nikki Dressler. Abby Golding is watching from Barnsley in South Yorkshire and wishing I was there. Hello from Suffolk, says Sue Miller. And Natalie Broadbent is in Southport in England. Margaret Hannah in Spain. I bet it's a bit warmer there. Earlier on, we broadcast photographs, video and commentary on the junior Up Helly Aa procession. Gabby Linden, who watched that, says, "Many thanks for the coverage and the commentary. Andy, Tom and the team. All of us who are involved here, a much bigger team, and we're quite grateful to be involved in it, I think. It's a privilege to be part of this community. which is reflected in this glorious festival. And you can see the lights, the street lights are still on. You can still see people's faces. And the torches ready for the lighting of over 1,000 other torches are just about ready to move to meet the other geysers. Now, the other geysers, there's 46 squads of men and women, and these squads are in fancy dress, all themed fancy dresses per squad. They will be performing little skits, political, comedic, later on in the evening at the halls, in which parties happen all night until breakfast time. We'll have some movement now, about 15 minutes to go until the official light up. Hello to Morag Mackay, who's watching in Melvick and Sutherland on the Scottish mainland, but extremely rural and a lovely place too. Susan Fitzgerald is the first time from Frederick in Maryland, USA. Excited to watch. Welcome. I hope you're enjoying it. As the brass band begins to play, we'll be hearing a lot of music during the night. Hello to Barbara, who's watching in Waterford in the Republic of Ireland. Lynn Stedden is enjoying. Hello to the Barry family, she says. And April Marie White just says, my people. Gosh, it's quite emotional, actually. Then Cerritos Baja in Mexico. That's Phil Kemp. Hello, Phil. The lights are out now. We're looking to the beginning of this huge conflagration, which is a moving, breathing being as it marches through the street 1,000 strong like a giant creature, and then the final massive burning of the Galley. The Galley is called Athena, and you'll be seeing it very shortly. Clive Hewson is watching in a lorry down in Glasgow way. Well, I hope that lorry is parked, Clive. I expect it is safely parked up. I think it might be quite off-putting to be driving and watching this coverage at the same time. Can you say hello to my mum, Elizabeth Miller? Don't quite know who that is. Oh, yeah, it's Denise Miller. And she was born in Shetland and she's watching too. Well, I hope you enjoy that. Georgette is in Fredericksburg in Virginia. I loved visiting Shetland. It's a long way to come, but I can assure you it's worth it. This time of year, it's dark a lot of the time. The summers are light, and we have the simmer dim, which is the midnight sun. 60 degrees north. It's a long way north, further north in parts of Canada. And we enjoy moderate climate, I think it's fair to say, though it is, as I say, going to be very windy later on tonight. The street lights are now off, and I can tell you from many decades of experience of Up Helly Aa that the atmosphere in the darkened streets is not oppressive at all. It's absolutely thrilling and exciting. And once the torches come on, once the torches are lit, the whole town becomes a flickering lantern of light. Well, there's our visitors from the southern hemisphere. It's Russell and Julie, who are watching from New Zealand. We will be in Shetland in March, and we're going to visit the Delting Up Helly Aa. Well, it's worth mentioning that there are 12 Up Helly Aas in total, and all of them are smaller than the massive Lerwick Up Helly Aa, but they're each spectacular in their own right, and it's well worth having a look at the Promote Shetland website, which will give you an indication of when and where those are. Our broadcasts are sponsored by Northlink and Promote Shetland, and Promote Shetland and Northlink are providing a giveaway, a return trip for 4 to Lerwick with vehicle and cabin on board the boat. You can enter at uphellyea.com or shetland.org/fire. Wonderful drone shot there. So we're about 10 minutes from the official lighting up time, which you'll know is happening by the loud explosion. If you have your speakers up loud, just be warned. And at that point, after the maroon goes off, 1,000 torches will start to be lit. Hello to Naomi, who is in Arizona and is watching with my children. She says, we're adding Up Helly Aa in with our school lessons today. Oh, that's great. Thank you for the stream and loving the narrative. Well, we're doing our best. And Diana is in Ohio in the USA. This is my 8th year of watching. My husband and I always love watching and listening to the festival. Karen Roberts says hello from Yorkshire, and a special hello to our daughter who's recently moved to Shetland. Couldn't find a better place to move to. And we're always looking for new people to move here. Lots and lots of jobs are available. Douglas Nails in Prescott, Arizona. Stella Ross is a Shetlander watching from Inverness. And hello to all the expatriate Shetlanders right across the world who are watching this and perhaps feeling a lump in their throats as they remember their youth in Shetland and perhaps participating in Up Helly Aa as well. Vicky McDonald says, hello to all our borough friends. We miss you. We wish we were back watching in person. There's a real sense of homeland and homecoming about Up Helly Aa. A sense of reaching out, community across the world for people who love Shetland and who were brought up here. There's a connection. Sparky Ewan is watching from the Falkland Islands. That's a very long way away. I'm pretty sure they don't have anything like an annual Up Helly Aa festival in the Falklands, but all the best to everyone who's watching on other island communities throughout the world. And I do apologise if I'm not able to read out all the comments. There are hundreds and hundreds of them coming in all the time, especially on the Promote Shetland and Northlink Facebook pages, as well as on the Shetland Webcams Discus page. We'll do our best to relay as many of them as we can. We just catch lit up fishing boat there from that drone in the harbour. It's easy to forget when we're concentrating on the Fire Festival that this is very much a seafaring harbour town. Judy Allen's in Gulf Shores, Alabama, in the US. And Laura Jane Friedlander, who's from here, is in Bristol, thinking of all our Shetland friends and family at this time. We're literally seconds away now from the light up here at Up Helly Aa. It's great to have you on board if you've just tuned in to our various outlets. I'm Tom Morton with you on Shetland Webcams, and we'll be with you as the procession begins and culminates in the great burning of the Galley in the King George V playing fields here in Lerwick, Shetland. Looking down from the drone shot there, you can see dark patch in the middle is the sea looking over to the island of Bressa, which shelters the natural harbour of Lerwick. And just if you look closely, you can see the lights of the various boats that are anchored off and indeed tied up at the Victoria Pier, as well as the cars which are parked in the Victoria Pier. Many boats find it convenient to anchor in Lerwick Harbour at this time of year. I wonder why. Along with the national politicians who find themselves having to make important political visits to Shetland again, coincidentally during Up Helly Aa. Mary Jane Stroud-Clary is in Toronto, Canada. Thank you very much for the commentary. I'm so pleased you're sharing the festival in this way. It's our pleasure and privilege to do it. And let me see. Nicole McKinnon wants to wish Neil Davidson and Angie Barnes a great night. Laura is in Belgium. They spent some time in Shetland last summer, and it was great. Minutes to go now, waiting for the maroon to fire. Stephen, my colleague on the council, wishes to say hello to our friends in Dunblane who visited us in Shetland a few years ago so they could see Up Helly Aa with us. Their names are Neil and Susan Chalmers. And there it goes. The maroon has been fired. Watch the light up now as the flares are used and the other torches are used to bring this festival to life. It's a river of fire spreading down the ranks of the geysers. And very soon that river will start flowing. Stephen Robertson is watching from the middle of the North Sea, and then he says something in Shetlandic which I'm not going to say or even attempt to translate for an international audience. Caroline Parker says, good morning from... Now, what is that? It's a place in South Australia. I've been to 5 festivals across Shetland. I wish I was there tonight. I'll be back in July for 3 months with my son, his wife, and my 3 grandchildren. Katrina MacDonald, whose music we were playing earlier, is feeling homesick. I hope everybody had a brilliant night of music, dancing, and a good spree. Hurrah for all the lasses taking part. And a lot of people will be feeling that as well. Just a tremendous sense of joy at the equality that has reached into the heart of this festival. Now it looks as though from a distance these houses are on fire, but of course they're not. We're just seeing the smoke from the 1,000 or so torches which have been lit, and you can see that it's a wee bit windy. The breeze is getting up. It's got up all day and it's going to get much windier later on. It's not hazardous in any way. All the geysers undergo briefing and training on how to behave during this march, and really, in all the years that I've been watching this, all the decades I've been watching it, I've never seen an injury caused by these torches. Or at least in no way a serious one. It is an incredibly well organised festival, down to the last detail of how you move 1,000 or so people, each carrying a heavy flaming torch around a darkened town, often in poor conditions. So the conditions tonight are as good as I've ever seen them. Christine Webb, it's her fourth time to watch. Fantastic to be able to view from Tumut, New South Australia. 6:40 a.m. Well, up early. My goodness, thanks for the commentary. We've been up early, actually. Since the beginning of the day, there has been Up Helly Aa related activity to cover. Kimmy Kelly Nivens is watching from Alabama. Thank you very much for the live stream. It's our pleasure. And you can begin to discern, if you look closely now, the various costumes of the geysers, the squads who are marching. These squads have often existed for many years, often many decades. And they work very hard on putting together an act, which they will perform in the halls, the 11 halls throughout Lerwick, which open their doors at 9 o'clock and close them again about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Matthew Lawrence is watching from the comfort of his living room in Tingwall, which is about 6 miles from where this is happening. I know exactly why you're doing that, Matthew. And it is comfort. It's a very enjoyable experience. And the times when I've been away from Shetland to watch the Up Helly Aa proceedings from very far away in comfort with perhaps a small libation is extremely enjoyable. Juneau, Alaska. Hooray! Hello to Patricia Lamson, who's there, and Alison, who's in Goshen, New Hampshire, in the USA. And Anna Shabo-Greshness is in the Prince Edward Island, Canada. Excellent. I hope to be there in person one day. Deborah Chapman's in Nova Scotia, too. Lovely to hear from you. Here comes the Jarl squad coming up the centre of the geysers, the other geysers, ready to lead this expedition and bringing with them the Galley, the war galley named Athena, and the leader of the entire festival, the Geyser Jarl, the chieftain of the festival, Mr. Richard Moore, along with his daughter Jenna and 3 of her cousins, Viking war princesses, all. For the first time ever this year, women taking part in the Jarl squad on an equal footing. And here is the Geyser Jarl on his war galley, Athena. What an impressive sight that is. It's a shade of blue, which might not be discernible in the particular colours cast by the torches. And there's the Raven banner atop the galley's mast. It's always fun to look at the members of the squads in their fancy dress and wonder what on earth is going to happen later on tonight and what their performances are going to be in the various halls throughout Lerwick. And so the march begins, the procession begins. There are some complicated and difficult maneuvers, as you can imagine, with so many people carrying flaming torches and a very, very large hand-pulled galley as well. In the background you can see Shetland's War Memorial and the darkened Town Hall. That is the upper hillhead. And as the cohorts of Vikings and assorted geysers move down, they'll be stopping and starting occasionally just for safety's sake, guided by the stewards, who are veterans, usually, of dozens of Up Helly Aas. Richard Moore, I have to say, has one of the most impressive beards of any Viking chieftain I've seen. Richard works for Inquest up at the Sullom Oil Terminal. He's one of the chief control officers up there. And he's well known in Bray High School, which is the school three of my children went to, because he was the coordinating liaison officer for the Bray School and the Sullom Terminal, which is very nearby. What a wonderful drone shot that is, very rarely seen. And here we are back on the ground. You can see the sparks flying off the torches. Now watch the galley in the course of the evening. It's got the dragon head prow, the Athena, and the Raven banner on the mast. Those are two important things to watch for during the actual burning. When they fall, it signals the ending or the beginning of the ending of this stage of the festival. David Lewis is in Portlethen, quite jealous of some of the locations watching tonight. And he says, I'm not going to repeat what he says, but it's very flattering to the Shetland Webcams team. Where we are in Market Street in the centre of Lerwick, it's just to the left of your picture, and what we're doing now is inhaling the smell of Up Helly Aa. It's a very distinctive smell, and once experienced, there really is nothing like it. Those of you who still use or in the past used paraffin as a heater, as a heating fuel, will know that smell. It's like aviation fuel mixed with the burning of wood, and it is just quite heady actually. For anyone who's ever experienced Up Helly Aa, it is the aroma of the night. Joe is in Southern California watching on the quiet at work. We won't tell. Nikki Trail is in Crediton in Devon. Doug is really enjoying the production, enjoying the drone and extra camera locations. Yeah, we've upped the ante a bit this year with some special editions, and we're being helped by the weather, it must be said. Hello to Neil Forsyth. It says we're being featured on the BBC as well. There you go. All ages involved in these squads, by the way. You'll find youngsters, their fathers, sometimes their grandfathers, all in the same squads. There's a family tradition of being in a particular squad. Kathy Mullins is watching in awe from Berwick upon Tweed Educational Association. Right, well, we're pretty educational as well as having fun, because obviously it is a lot of fun, both participating in Up Helly Aa and indeed watching it. Cheers to Gabby Linden, who is drinking Shetland gin as she watches, which is, I think, quite a good move. You can see the size, the sheer length of the procession from that drone shot we've just had up. It is enormous. What you're hearing now is one of the 3 major songs that will be sung by geysers. They all learn to sing them and learn the lyrics. This is the Up Helly Aa song. And it's something which stems, I think, originally from the 19th century, because Up Helly Aa, in its current form, is really quite a modern festival. It has its roots in fire festivals, and you can see remnants of those fire festivals throughout Scotland. Various parts of Scotland have fire festivals, some of them involving fireballs, as in Stonehaven, and others really harking back to tar barrelling, which is where Up Helly Aa started in the 18th century. Soldiers came back in the 18th and 19th century from war and let off steam, or fire in this case, by buying barrels, soaking them in tar, and then rolling them along the streets, often rolling them into the doorways of people they didn't like. It got a bit out of hand, and in fact the army was called in at one point to put a stop to it. After the First World War especially, it became quite formalised. There had been a Viking content before then, but after the First World War, the existence of the Jarl Squad became paramount. It was a committee formed. It became much, much more systematic and organised. You can see the youngsters sheltering in the Galley. They've had a great time today from early morning onwards. Looked after, fed, and cheered to the rafters by all the people who have loved seeing this, local and visitor alike. Nicolette is watching from Belgium and says, yes, it is like Stonehaven. It's a bit bigger than Stonehaven. Hello to Emma MacDonald, political leader of the Shetland Islands Council. It says, hi Tom, can you say hi to my grandson Jacob, who's watching in Blantyre? Hello Jacob. Rick says, I've been viewing in Morayshire and I've just been watching the Shetland Detective series. Of course, I think that the adventures of Jimmy Perez and the Shetland Detective series and the books have all contributed to the huge increase in interest in Up Helly Aa and in Shetland generally, and in tourism in Shetland. If you are interested in coming to Shetland or having a holiday here, go to the Promote Shetland website and have a look at that. As I say, there is a giveaway with our ferry company, Northlink, providing a return trip from Fore to Lerwick with a vehicle and a cabin. You can enter at uphellyea.com. And remember that as well as this fire festival, which is obviously a major, huge thing, we have smaller and sometimes cosier fire festivals scattered throughout the Isles, from Unst right down to the South Mainland. And that lasts until March, actually. So you have plenty of time and scope to visit and see that. Hello to everyone watching live now on Fox in America. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. Greetings from everyone here in Lerwick in the Shetland Isles. Oh, Drew Berry is in Thailand. That's the first from Thailand tonight. And Jamie Bruce says, hello to everyone at home. Enjoy your night. Gerald, be good. Everyone's always good at Up Helly Aa. There's never any bad behaviour at all. Sylvia Halcrow, need to book soon for 2025. Come you. I think Sylvia is saying that you should book now for 2025. Actually, I would advise it because accommodation is really difficult to come by. Danielle is watching from the comfort of Burra Isle, which is across a couple of bridges from here. Have a great night, everybody, says Moira. Yvonne is wanting me to say hello to the Thompsons and Grays who are watching from Munster, having a dram. Good. Enjoy that. Skoll, as we say hereabouts. Sarah says, I'm watching on my TV after I found you on my phone. Oh, that's good. I love the fact the Vikings in the boat are filming on their phones too. Yes. Smartphones are everywhere. Smartphone Vikings. It's the name of a band, I think. One year we will come up for Inverness with my daughter, Justine Kyle. Alison is in Dumfries and Galloway. I wish we were there. And many, many people scattered throughout Scotland and beyond. Especially good to have so many people from the USA on board. Now you can see the complications of this manoeuvre with 4 lines of geysers passing each other in 2 different directions. It is really difficult to do this. Hello to, I don't know who's that, Raymond from the Black Forest in Germany. My dad was born in Trondra in Shetland. I love Shetland. Oh, well, that's good. Good to have you watching. And Sinja is in Sweden. What a fantastic event. Yes, we do Scandinavia very well here in Shetland, you know. That's interesting. I've just seen a squad. You can probably just see them dressed in hunting gear, formal hunting pinks, as in fox hunting. And of course, there are no foxes in Shetland. There was a hoax perpetrated a few years ago when somebody brought a frozen fox up from the mainland and deposited it on the main road, but as it turns out, it wasn't a stray, despite the fact that I think some people were rather hoping it was. Tim Napier has just moved from South Africa to Aberdeen and is hoping to come to Shetland soon. He'll be very welcome. Melissa is in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Hello, Melissa. And that's in the USA. I hope to visit Shetland someday. And speaking of foxes, there was Andrea Fox is watching from Sandwick. There we go. It's a coincidence, isn't it? My ancestors are from Unst. This is Shoreditch, I think. Is that Shoreditch or Sheridan? And I really need to do a pilgrimage. Well, Unst is the place for pilgrimages. More holy sites, more archaeological, ancient sites and places of monastic settlement than I think anywhere else in Europe. Many of them unexcavated. Bring your trowel. Dorothy is watching from Goodland Crescent in Lerwick. Now that is about as close as you can get. I'm vexed to miss it in person, but thanks for bringing it to me virtually. It's our pleasure, Dorothy. And Bronwyn Matheson is in Christchurch in New Zealand. Bronwyn and Kieran feeling homesick. Have a great night. Melissa Stewart is trying to spot her brother who is guising for the first time. And Gary, who I know is saying, is that Ken or Johnny? We're looking for Ken or Johnny. I don't think they'll be wearing a badge though. Eamon Watt. Hello, Eamon. Very talented musician watching from home in Cunningsborough while working on music projects. Flares being lit at the opening of the King George V playing field because we're moving towards the end game now. The signs are there that the marchers will soon be coming into the King George V play park, and the Galley will assume its position for its final flight to Valhalla. Joe Doyle says, hi from Joe and Matt from Ireland. My great-grandparents, the Moody's, were from Lerwick and the Andersons from Bressa. I love it. I was here for the celebration in 1979 and I hope to come back. Somebody else, Alfia, is in the Costa del Sol. Very nice. Might be a little bit warmer, I guess. Vela Angus says, I blended viewing from the live stream and could watch the glow of the light up from my home at the top of the sound. Yeah, it's a good idea, isn't it? And probably if you breathe deeply, you'll be able to smell the aroma of paraffin and wood burning and the occasional singed anorak. So Richard Moore is the Geyser Jarl, and he is as King Harold Olafsson, that is his Up Helly Aa name, who is one of the great saga figures, who succeeded his father, and I love this name, Olaf the Black, who in 1237 was basically deceased. And his son, King Harold Olafsson, took over as King of Man and the Isles. That's M-A-N-N, as in the Isle of Man and the Isles. And he extended his reach a little bit further after that. So Richard's daughter, Jenna, and 3 of her cousins are the first 4 women ever to take part in Up Helly Aa's members, fully fledged members of the Jarl Squad. And it's a real pleasure to welcome them to this. I never thought I'd see the day, but there you are. All happened in 2 years. If you haven't been to Lerwick, it's a lovely town. It's a small Scottish town, as somebody described it. It has a lovely harbour, a real proper working harbour, big harbour, very sheltered. And it's an industrial harbour in parts, but not in the middle of town, which is more of a refuge for fishing boats and small craft. And they have the thing called the small boat harbour, which is in spring and summer becomes a repository for racing boats. The Shetland model is the kind of template for a lot of the racing open racing boats in Shetland. Double-ended, originally assembled in Shetland from kits made in Norway and of Norwegian design. You can discern in the Shetland model, which became a traditional fishing boat and became bigger and became a sixern or sixtering, which was crewed by 6 men with 3 sets of oars in the days of the half fishing, which lasted until the early days of the 19th century. You can see this, the similarity to a Norse galley. And we are watching the galley now as it moves into position to come through this narrow gate and into the play park, where it will meet its final end. John Copeland's father is from Scalloway, watching in Bonnyrigg. Kathy Jameson is in Unst, and me and my family was in Lerwick in October. 24 hours of travelling from London. It was worth every minute, says Chumjin Stephen Phillips. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Gail McGuire is in Wishaw, in Lanarkshire, where the Morton dynasty originated. What a close-up that is. Don't scratch it. Even though it will be going up in flames shortly. What a marvellous job the Galley boys have done in this. Incredibly detailed, painstaking paintwork and craftsmanship. And there goes the Athena. Followed by the men in assorted uniforms. There are not Jarl Squad members, they're basically stewards and helpers and members of the Up Helly Aa community who are assisting in making the event happen. Beth Styrman says, "This is the best coverage and camera shots I've seen in all the years I've been watching. Cheers from Michigan in USA." I would agree with that, I think. Tony Cox is in Athens, Georgia. I've been to Athens, Georgia. I went to Athens, Georgia to interview a band who I presume nobody's ever heard of, called REM. And I was taken out to lunch by the bass player from REM, whose name briefly escapes me, Mike Mills. Very good chicken wings. It's the first time in Athens, Georgia, I've ever had an iced glass, but not the last. No need for ice glasses in Lerwick tonight. It is chilly, clear but chilly. And what a privilege it is for all of us to have decent weather for Up Helly Aa, contributing to the excellence of the pictures that we're receiving as well. Watching from Afford, says Abby Dawson. Say hello to Neil, Tom, Scott and Duncan, who are playing in one of the halls in a band. Yeah, various top Scottish country dance bands from throughout Scotland have arrived in Shetland and will be playing in the various halls, the 11 halls, which open at 9 o'clock tonight for parties and performance and dancing and lots of really good food. If I mention the words reested mutton soup or tatty soup or just reested mutton, I know that expatriate Shetlanders throughout the world will be salivating at the thought of this. I was going to say our national dish, but certainly a local dish. It's a wonderful concoction of smoked and dried meat, which is mutton. It's then soaked, cured meat, I suppose, first. It's then soaked and then boiled along with potatoes, carrots, turnip, and it is then drained, boiled again, usually, depending on the mutton. And finally, with a little bit of kale, some people use kale, it's served up. It is with the mutton taken out. The mutton is in a joint. It's shredded and served separately. or in the soup itself. There are various ways and various approaches to it. It is one of the most delicious things and a great accompaniment for both rum, whiskey, and also perhaps a bit of beer. Not to mention bannocks, but that's a whole other subject. Jacqueline is in Melbourne, Australia, missing Shetland. Love to my friends and family. What a brilliant Up Helly Aa. Yes, it is. Tanya is Edinburgh from, I think she's in Edinburgh. Hi Tanya in Edinburgh from Annika in Sweden. Right, I'm making sense of this. Looking in the procession for Michael Grant and Patrick Robertson, our family who are taking part, while Maureen O'Keefe is just waking up in Australia and enjoying the coverage. Krista Tullett says, I want roasted mutton soup now. I might miss it. I suppose you could have a go at making roasted mutton soup. Perhaps we could send some emergency supplies of roast out to you wherever you may be. Also, I could recommend that you have a look at the book Shetland, Cooking on the Edge of the World by James Morton and Tom Morton. It's quite good. I love the fact that we've got, now where are we? Somebody from Maryland in the USA. Here we go. Sherry, I'm watching from Maryland in the USA. I have no idea what's going on, but I love it. Where Sophia says, what is this? Greetings to all our people watching on Fox News in America. Everyone watching the Associated Press feed and various newspaper sites, everyone on the BBC, if you happen to be watching, and of course our Promote Shetland and Northlink Ferries partners, thank you very much, and to Shetland Telecom. If you're planning a visit to the islands or considering a permanent move or just to discover more about our culture here, including recipes, go to shetland.org. There's an enormous resource there, all kinds of things. You can sign up to one of the Promote Shetland newsletters, and that's for people who might be thinking about coming here to work, or perhaps just to come on holiday. Interesting costumes here. There's a long tradition in Up Helly Aa of men dressing up as women, but I think not quite work out exactly what that was. Milkmaids with cows attached. Interesting. No doubt the illumination will come during the performance of the skit at one of the halls later on tonight. The Galley is in possession. The Athena has come to the end of her last voyage, her only voyage. She'll be removed from the trailer she's been on. There'll be some aching muscles there in the men who have been pulling her around. 46 squads. Over 1,000 men and women in those squads. 11 halls await for their performances afterwards. Tradition in Shetland is that there is no bar in these halls. I'm not entirely sure that if that is still the case, but really the idea is that because Up Helly Aa's origins after the First World War were in the temperance movement, there was no drink publicly available. However, there will be alcohol consumed in reasonably small quantities, or perhaps not so small. Most of it will be in the form of carryouts, and if you're a guest at Up Helly Aa, or not a geyser, you would normally bring a carryout and place it in a special room, a special secret room in the hall where you could visit and have a drink. And it may have changed, drink was not generally supposed to be visible in the public area of the hall. Responsible citizens we are. Matthew Lawrence says this: I sent vacuum packed roasted mutton to my daughter in New Zealand, who is a head chef, and it got there safely. Roasted mutton in New Zealand. Gosh. I wonder if customs knew about that. Did you make a declaration? And Gavin says, we were at last year's Lerwick Up Helly Aa. It was the best bucket list item ever. I'm currently watching from Prestwick, which I know well, which, in fact, I was standing very early in the morning about 2 weeks ago outside Prestwick Airport waiting for a bus, which did turn up. Now we see the gathering around the Galley. This is a manoeuvre which I always find fascinating, because what we have to have happen here is 1,000 flaming torches eventually all thrown onto the Galley to set it on fire without hitting or injuring any other geyser. Matthew Lawrence says the customs never found the roasted mutton. Well done. There's a great story about Ali Bain, famous Shetland fiddler, who was stopped by, in his younger days, by a sniffer dog on the way south from Shetland at Glasgow Airport, where they discovered that he had a whole salmon, I think it was, in his luggage. See, that probably ruined that dog's abilities. Look at that. Isn't that marvellous? These are sights which hardly anyone has seen, and all of us are really privileged to be able to see that, I think. These drone shots. Lyndon Bolt says the Bolt family down in Sheffield are watching live, and we're excited to be taking part in next year's Up Helly Aa. Cameron is sat watching in his Shetland football top. Well done, Cameron. Look forward to seeing you all next year. Deanna says, Tom, could you please do a shout out to my friend Courtney in Ohio, in USA? She's my first friend to actually watch the Up Helly Aa procession on her own without my insistence, and she's enjoying your awesome coverage so far. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Annie Murdo is actually eating roasted mutton right now. Well, congratulations. That's what I call interactive viewing. And dreaming of the smell of paraffin. I don't think the smell of paraffin and roasted mutton go very well together, actually. But I'm willing to experiment with it. Grant McDougall says, can you say hello to Alan Gifford, who I think is part of the brass band? Certainly can. Sue Karen is watching from the States. Oh, Ed and Elise says lots of chat about roasted mutton. I know Shetlanders in New Zealand who make it. Wow, that is something. Something to do with curing in salted water in the fridge and a tatty with a nail in it. A tatty with a nail in it? I've never tried this, but I've tasted it and it's lovely. If anyone post the instructions, I would love to see them. I think you'll find instructions if you go to shetland.org, and it's certainly how to make roasted mutton soup, and you will find instructions on how to make reist in our book, James, the book I wrote with my son James. He said, shamelessly plugging it. Elizabetha is watching from Glasgow. I'm coming for the next year's celebrations with a group of my Polish friends. Accommodation booked. I think you'll have a good time. And this is Jerry Mason, who is in Shibuya in Mississippi, USA. I have proven Viking DNA. There you go. Somebody's Dayton, Ohio. That's in a song, Dayton, Ohio, isn't it? Mary Brockman. Krista Stewart's thanks to Mary Brockman for sharing this link, and we are both watching in Dayton, Ohio. And so the geysers gather around the Galley as the festival moves into its final stage now, and the burning is imminent. Cello says, can you say hello to my book group friends who will enjoy Up Helly Aa tonight, please? I'm happy to do that. Best wishes to our nephew. Joe Barry, says Eleanor, who is somewhere amongst the geysers. And I hope you have a wonderful night and no sore head tomorrow. No sore head tomorrow. Well, I think I'll still be going tomorrow. There's various aspects to the festival which come back. There's the return, and there's a chance for all the squads to see the acts which they may have missed, because obviously not all the squads can be in the hall at the same time as all the other squads. So the geysers do get together for a special event in which they can see what all the other acts have been up to. Bruce Sinclair says, thank you for such great commentary and coverage. Oh, modesty forbids. Nicola Howie is in Gosport. I'm looking forward and to hoping that I'll maybe get home next year. Let's see, what have we got here? Great coverage tonight, says Darren. Thank you so much. I'll be coming up to Scotland in February, and I can't wait. One day soon we will be moving up permanently, currently in Tankerton in Kent. Shout out please to Ollie Berson, who's aged 6 from Finstown in Orkney and watching Braid in the TV before bedtime. What time is it? 20 past 8. You're 6 and you're still up. Ah, well. Special occasion. Anne is in Galberwick. That's dry January officially over. Really? Is it the end of January? I think I may have a small libation when I get home tonight. This coverage has been brought to you mainly by green tea. And so the final stragglers gather in this gigantic circle. A circle of fire. The river has flowed to its final destination, and soon the Galley Athena will be no more. It'll take a while, and remember I mentioned right at the beginning to look for the Raven Banner and the Dragon Head. Well, as the Galley catches fire and as it burns, look for the moments when the mast falls and the Dragon Head prow falls, and those signify the conclusion of the burning. Much discussion, by the way, on the Promote Shetland Facebook page in the comments about where to get suitable mutton. Icelandic mutton has been suggested, and the recipes for roasted mutton and how to make roasted mutton. I think a bit of investigation using various tools online will provide you with all that you need. But don't use saltpeter. They used to use saltpeter in the cure, and that has now been banned. So probably as well. The maroon has been sounded. Fireworks signify the beginning of the end. And that is the Galley song. Floats the Raven Banner o'er us, round our dragon ship we stand, voices joined in gladsome chorus, raised aloft the framing brand. Words by John Nicholson, and it's a Norwegian folk song melody called the Northland Skal. This is the beginning of the end. The Jarl is standing on the galley. An emotional moment for him, the end of a long, well, the first ending of a long day, conclusion, the culmination of his role as chief of this procession, and much, much to do by the Jarl and the Jarl squad throughout the night as they parade round the halls. There'll be time for King Harold Olafsson, aka Richard Moore, to descend as Geyser Jarl from the Galley Athena, and then the last burning will begin. Jackie is watching from Cyprus. I'm looking forward to a very brief visit to Shetland in June on a cruise ship. We have many cruise ships visit Shetland now. Sad to see the beautiful dragon boat burn, but I understand the ritual. It is essentially a funeral ritual. Sending the great chieftain to Valhalla on his boat. But in this case, the great chieftain will survive to have a very good time for the rest of the night. And now as the sparks fly into the air, and that dragon seems to be looking at you, the sounding of the trumpets indicate that the end is nigh. Here we go. You see what I mean when I was talking earlier about how careful this has to be? It looks like a huge wild celebration, but in actual fact it's incredibly well organized so that nobody gets hurt, nobody gets burnt. And as soon as your torch is thrown in, you move back out of the way. As the Athena and all its beautiful craftsmanship, all its lovely paintwork, all the shields so carefully lettered, disappears in this huge conflagration. James Dixon is sat in Nottingham looking at all my friends and Shetland family enjoying the passing of winter. Indeed, Up Helly Aa means the lightning of the year. It has been a day when the light seems to have broken through. We are now on the slope towards spring. We're lightening up the dark nights and hoping to bid farewell to winter. Krista says it's a very emotional feeling. I'm so homesick, but I'm so proud of my amazing adopted home and Shetland born and bred family. I wear a ring with sand from Peary Spiggy, which is a beach, so Shetland is always with me. This is I think the loveliest and most plaintive of the three songs which are sung during Up Helly Aa. The Norseman's Home. The Norseman's home in days gone by was on the rolling sea, and there his pennon did defy the foe of Normandy. Then let us ne'er forget the race, who bravely fought and died, who never filled a craven's grave, but ruled the foaming tide. The dragon head is aflame, the mast is on fire. Which will fall first? Meta is in Croatia. What a wonderful night. Thank you very much for it. And Brenda has really enjoyed the coverage. Carla, Bob and Margot, I'm watching from Columbus in Ohio. Carly, not Carla, but Carly, Alexis says, Carly, Riley and Lily would like to give a shout out to their amazing godparents, Mags and Mike from Universal Stores in Shetland. Missing you guys, but have an amazing time tonight. Lily, 9 months old, sat with Big Brother and Mum watching it all. Is that the mast? Not quite yet. What a sight that is. Not long to go. Faye says, shout out to my other half, Ian Manson, who's had to head back on shift today. He's eating his dinner and watching the live stream. Kirstein's in Bixter and Shetland. Angela just wishes she was there. Thank you to everyone who's been in touch. I do apologise again for not being able to read out all the comments, but there have been hundreds, literally hundreds. Thanks again to Northlink Ferries and to Promote Shetland and to Shetland Telecom and everyone else who has been involved in putting this coverage together. It's been a mammoth task. I think the mast is about to fall. What do you think? Always a great moment, this. Ian Leask, former colleague of mine at the Shetland Times, now living in Ireland, is saying, is that a Volkswagen sign on the dragon head? I think it may just be structural, but who knows? Who is the band? Somebody's asking. Well, that's the Lerwick Brass Band that you're listening to, of course. I'm saying during the coverage of the Junior Up Helly Aa that I can never know whether it's a silver band or a brass band, but it's called the Lerwick Brass Band, so even though the instruments may be chromium plated, that's essentially what they are. Hello to Emily, who's in Tampa, Florida. And Anne, who is in Cornwall. Linda Wilson, wonderful footage. Kirsten Leonard, brilliant coverage. And Pete, who is watching in Gloucester. And Droitwich, I've always loved that name, Droitwich Spa. Who knows what happens in Droitwich? It sounds as if it'd be hilarious anyway. The geysers now repairing to their various buses and vans. I think health and safety has precluded the use of lorries and open trucks or closed trucks or cattle trucks and things like that, which were used in the past for transferring teams of geysers, squads of geysers about. It has to be a little more comfortable and sedate. But they'll go back to their squad premises, sheds, people's houses to prepare, to straighten out their costumes, and perhaps to have a small glass of sherry. Do you know, people don't drink as much sherry nowadays. I think it's a bit of a shame. That mast is looking flimsy. The dragon head is all but gone. I'm hoping there are a few people left to cheer as the mast falls. And you can tell I'm excited by small things, aren't you? That's the dragon head falling to the ground now. It would be wonderful if the mast just withstood the heat and remained throughout. The Raven banner continued to fly. But I think not. And there it goes. The Raven banner falls. And that, for us, brings to an end, or for me, the end of my commentary on Up Helly Aa 2024. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Thank you very much for all your comments. I hope you've really enjoyed what I think has been the best coverage we've ever been able to provide of Up Helly Aa. And all the best to the Geyser Jarl, the Jarl squad, and all the geysers who are involved and will be involved in all kinds of hijinks tonight, and everyone else who will be enjoying the partying in the various halls, the 11 halls throughout Lerwick. Thank you to the team who have brought you this. Thanks again to Northlink Ferries and Promote Shetland and Shetland Telecom. I've been Tom Morton, and hopefully we'll speak next year.